Hi, everyone. I'm Crystal, mother of 4, 3 boys and 1 girl.
And I'm Thea, mother of 3 girls.
And I'm Nekisha, also mother of 3 girls.
And we're here for the 5th episode of
Dim Black Mamas. I think we got it better.
It was so good.
That was so much better.
It was, no, I don't think so. I think that it was off. I think I went first and then you guys came.
I don't think we're ever going to get that
so
perfect.
Much better. Well, I think when we're together, it's good. So up front, we want to say that we may have returned to Tyra Weave season 1 because we're recording on a different day. Mm-hmm. So the Chirins is home. I am out of town in a conference room. I don't know what sounds we're going to hear. So, you just may hear some things in the background. And we're mamas. Mm-hmm. People are home.
It's Sunday.
Dogs are home.
It's Sunday.
Partners are home. Kids are home. It's on a Sunday. So you may hear some things in the background that I'm unable to edit.
Some natural stuff. Some natural habitat stuff.
Right.
Little ambiance. That's all.
Ambiance.
Little ambiance. Yeah, now that you say natural, we can think of it as like natural hair. Like, you may hear the roots of the show
today.
Mm-hmm.
The kink of the show. The kink of the show.
The kink of the show this time. Yes.
You may see our natural curl pattern today.
You might. You
might see that.
Mm-hmm. So just stay focused. Just stay focused on the topic at hand. Don't lose your focus. Okay, so let's get into it. And who's telling us what the show is about today? Who's that today?
I think here's where you say Dim Black Mamas is a podcast for us.
Aha! Thank you.
Who the roots? Who the kink? Who that natural curl pattern? Let it be.
Eco styler, gel, something.
We need some eco styler.
So if this is your first time checking out our show, and hopefully it is. Hopefully we have some new people checking out the show. Dim Black Mamas is a podcast for us and by us, a show about the life and times of 3 Black women raising Black children.
Follow us on Facebook at Dim Black Mamas.
Or hit us up on Twitter at Dim Black Mamas.
And on Instagram at Dim Black Mamas. Or you can email us your thoughts about the show, our topics, or you can just show us some love. You can also ask us for some advice. We have a lactation consultant. Nekisha is what's the whole big shebang? It's an international, I was going to say international baccalaureate, but that's something else.
No. Yes, international board certified lactation consultant.
Right.
Yeah.
And Thea is a licensed family and marriage therapist, and I'm just,
everything.
I don't offer advice. I can give you advice on your, if you're creative, I can give you advice on that. I can't give you advice on your life. It's just usually not good stuff.
People end up in the streets. People end up in the streets.
That's true.
By yourself.
Marriages break up and folks end up in them streets trying to find their dream.
Don't do it.
Trying to find their dream.
Ask Thea.
She said ask Thea or ask
unless it has to do with sex, because Crystal's like, you know what it is. Ask her if the sex is good, and then we'll diagnose.
Let me tell you something.
No, it's true though. I used to shun that as a diagnosis too. But you're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. I'd be thinking to myself, so how is it going in that area? And it says a lot.
It affects everything. It does.
It is often.
We have to do a top. We haven't done a sex show topic. That's coming up on the horizon. It's spring.
Ooh, I'm
spring.
Really excited about that. I'm super excited. Yeah, we got to think. We can do Dim Black Mamas after dark.
Yes.
Yeah.
Judgment-free zone. Judgment-free zone. Judgment-free zone.
Judgment-free zone.
We will not
be.
be.
I might have some product recommendations. I might have some. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's focus. Okay. I'll do it for the culture. I will. I'm here for y'all.
Free the people. Free the people.
She totally got sidetracked. She's like, I'm here for product recommendation. Okay, and we're back. So if you need some advice, you can hit us up. And now our podcast is also available on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. So we're no longer just on SoundCloud. We're on those other things as well. So check us out.
Don't forget to catch us also on Tumblr at denblackmamas.tmblr.com.
Yes, Nekisha wrote a great post called Impact and Imprint about mothering during postpartum and your mental health during that time. It's a great, really powerful, heartfelt piece. So be sure to check that out.
So today's lineup is, of course, we're going to focus on education for our mac and cheese segment. You know, every time we even say mac and cheese, I think about the best mac and cheese, the cheesiest with just a little bit of crunch on top. Anyway, it's good. The mac and cheese is good.
Ooh, yes.
Then we have some awesome collection plate causes. And of course, our Black Mama say for today is, you gonna learn today. And we got some good ones.
Okay, well, this is the point in our show where we talk about what's good, where each of us shares something that's just really positive, a source of light in our worlds at the moment. All right, Crystal, what's good?
Karis and I are going through some training, some bodily training right now. Care Bear, who is our youngest child, he is potty training, and he's doing really, really good. He goes to the bathroom all day at school. When he's at my in-laws' house, he goes to the potty. When he's at my mother's house, he goes to the potty. The only place he doesn't...
I notice you keep saying at other people's house.
That is the only place he doesn't consistently go is at our house. And it's because, like, he's like the fourth kid. And I think we're just, like, worn out. It's like, you know, I think we just kind of feel like, oh, he'll get it. I mean, he won't be wearing diapers until he's...
I mean, it's true. It's true, though.
But you can't
he will get it eventually.
You can't let Karis know he can yield that kind of power.
I know.
Because that is a very shrewd child. And if he knows...
Yeah.
When he has to go to bed at night, like 45 minutes after he's in bed, he'll say, I have to go potty. So he knows, you know, that he can willpower that way. And, you know, it's really hard because we compare him to the Munchkin, who is like, you know, the godsend child, who was potty trained in a weekend and never wet the bed, you know, so...
No, those two are so different.
They set us up, man. They set us up. We get the easier kid first and think everything is going to be smooth sailing from now on.
Those two are going to be like a Tyler Perry movie where there's like two brothers and one ends up on one side of the tracks and the other one ends up on the other side of the tracks, and then somehow they find each other, and that is the setup of Karis and RJ. I'm telling you, it's going to be like he's gonna steer him straight. RJ's gonna bring it back. You never accepted me for who I was. Everybody always thought I had to be like you. I mean, I could write that shit right now, and we could like totally sell that to Tyler Perry landing strips.
I'm not.
# landing.
I can see it. Would RJ be a politician? I think he'd be a very polished politician.
RJ wants to be president of the United States.
Yeah, I can see that.
He's serious.
What is Karis gonna be?
He's gonna run a really amazing club in the South. Everybody's gonna want to be there, and it's gonna be like just ratchet enough for people to be able to wear like jeans and hats, but nobody gets shot.
But he's potty training, and I am menstrual cup training. And I want to say it's going really, really, really well.
Yay!
Because I'm working from home now, I've been using it at home, and I must say I like it so much better than a tampon. I still haven't had the courage to do it outside the home yet. So the next, my next phase is to do it outside of the home. But I thought it was really interesting that Karis is potty training and I'm menstrual cup training, and we're both going through bodily function training. And for those of you who don't know what a menstrual cup is, it's so, when your period is on, instead of using tampons, you can use a menstrual cup. And there are different brands. I've tried out 2 of them. I've used one that had the ring on the bottom, which I really like because it's easier to use. And then the one with the stem on the bottom. The one with the stem on the bottom holds more, and I didn't leak at all. Removing it,
it's harder.
Is so much more difficult than removing the one with the rings. I'm doing it at home, so I can't imagine someone doing it like out in public, because let me tell you, I take up the whole entire bathroom to remove that thing. My leg is like up on.
The visual I just got was too much. It was too much. Because you got to squat and bear down and reach up. There's a whole lot. Yeah.
People just don't use pads no more. Am I the only one to use pads? I feel like I'm the only one. But you know what? They're outside the
You know
body.
what, though?
I can switch them out as much as I need to. They come real flat with wings now.
Yeah. Well,
like
I do still throw a little money at Always.
Yeah,
I do. I throw a little money at Always still.
The Infinity line?
I do.
Yeah.
I do, but I've been using menstrual cups for over a year. Sometimes I have only ever used what I got on sale at Amazon. I don't even know what brand it was. But it has a stem. That's the only one I've ever used. So I'm intrigued because I really don't like the process of trying to get that stem out. And so I may try one with the ring.
What I began to do is more so than before is I began to make it a ritual. Like when my period comes on, it's really a ritual. Like I'm in the bathroom, I wash it out, I put a little coconut oil on it so like it's easier. And I just take like some time just in the bathroom like to myself because I sterilize it, just in like hot water before I, put it inside. But it's a whole like process now.
You know what I got from that?
What?
You know what I got from that? Black people use coconut oil for everything. Every goddamn thing.
Yeah, I was
Black
going to say, I don't know if you're supposed to be rubbing coconut oil on it before you insert it.
With coconut oil.
Well, because
Jesus, take the wheel.
Coconut oil is a...
I don't think you're supposed to do that, Krista.
Stir us back more to what's good. Stir us back. Stir us.
Okay. We can move on.
To the path from which we have come.
Let me just say this about coconut oil. Coconut oil is a lubricant.
You can use coconut oil for everything.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
I guess that's right,
You
yeah.
can't use it as a lubricant. And
On the side of the road, your car breaks down, add a little coconut oil.
Okay.
Influenza,
You know what,
add a
Thea.
little coconut oil.
Okay.
It's like Tussin girl, rub it on there. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna leave that one alone. That was an opening, but I'm gonna. So for the sake of,
I'm gonna slide up in here with my what's good because we have turned.
Slide on like you got coconut oil, girl.
I got
Slide
coconut oil on
on.
my feet. I got coconut oil
There you
on
go.
my feet. I'm gonna slide up in here like I got coconut oil on my feet. I have two what's goods.
Okay.
One is nature. Nekisha and Crystal know I have been talking about this for weeks. I live in California. I know y'all think the sun is here all the time, but we did get a lot of rain, y'all, and it was real, okay? Everybody's trauma is different. I actually love the rain. I found it very refreshing. We needed the water. But when that sun came out, something was different this year, and I was like, we are a sun people.
How long did it rain?
How long did it rain? We're not going into that conversation because we're not going to have the oppression Olympics here.
Because in
today.
LA, y'all think a puddle is a flood.
It rained, but it was really good.
It's a puddle.
The streams came back, the green came back, oil was present. We were very grateful.
Oh my God, it was a river
I didn't
on
realize,
the street. How am I going to drive around this river? It's a puddle.
I didn't.
Go a little
We do
left.
act the fool. We do act the fool. But if there's an earthquake, we are like, what's the problem? Okay, what's the problem if there's an earthquake? Every day I've been, making sure I spend time barefoot in the grass, putting my body in the sun. It's amazing. It's made me think a lot about how we live, right? Like why we spend 8 hours a day or more in a building away from the sun versus being outside, and how things that I treat in mental health, like depression, seasonal affective disorder, these mood disorders, I wonder how much that has to do with people just being away from nature. Where I am, there's several hiking trails. You can go dip your feet in the stream. You can go see different butterflies, see what's growing naturally. And it's just been extremely refreshing. It makes me want to bring every Black person I know into that space and see how they feel. I would love to do some sort of study on that and look at people who feel that they're depressed or they're anxious or suffering from some form of mood disorder, and we take them and put them in that type of environment for like a week and see how they're reporting about their symptoms. I find that it just helps you to be clearer, more present. I say it helps you to hold less heat. And what I mean by that is like, heat is that irritability, that fire, that quick temper, that anxiety. And it helps to release a lot of that. Because when your feet are touching, the ground is always cold. I mean, concrete gets hot, but grass doesn't get hot. There's always this cool energy when you have your feet on the earth. And when you have that with the sun on your back, there's just like this great combination. So I think more people should do that. I took my stepdaughter out hiking. I have a great picture of her in the water, and I think it's been working a lot for me, and I plan to continue to do that and to advocate for that. Like, so even at work right now, if I work 2 hours, I'm taking 20 minutes of sun.
Yeah.
I have to balance it out somehow. And so there's different things we can do. I mean, we take vitamin D, but we could also just go outside.
Yeah.
And plant something or do something. So the other thing is you ever have one of those days with the kids where like everything's going like so well, you kind of accidentally realize, oh shit, there's not been no arguments today. Everybody's getting along.
I've never had a day like that.
Oh my God. We've had a couple of those days, and when they come, you like,
nice.
It's kind of like catching a hummingbird. Don't move. You don't want anybody to catch the fact that you see it. So you're kind of like, if you say something, you could jinx it. So Friday we were all off, which meant my husband could stay in bed till 5 because he does a lot of the commuting for us out here. And he just like rested and laid in bed all day. I got up, immediately went outside like I do every day. And I was able to read an entire book that day. The kids, were focused on little things that they were doing and around.
I cannot imagine.
It was so great.
Reading.
It was so great.
Like book in a day.
An entire book. I probably read 200 pages. The book was 280 pages. And I was like, oh my God. In my head, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get to finish this book today. And I didn't want to jinx it. So I was like, shh.
I can't even imagine it. Is this what happens when your kids are beyond toddler?
I think it may.
Yeah.
This may be because Lexington, she set up like a beach day for herself outside. She had like her bathing suit on. It was in the grass and chilling. The girls had different homework assignments and stuff. Like everybody kind of just did their thing. And then the girls were like, we want to make dinner. And I was like, great. So went to the store, grabbed a couple of supplies. There's a little store near us.
Nekisha's face was like,
girl,
kids in the kitchen cooking.
Kids in the kitchen. Lately, they've been wanting to cook more. And before I'd be like, no, I got it. And now I'm like, wait a minute. So they cook like twice a week now. I just ask them what they want me to pick up. And so, girl, it's the best thing to get you. And then they plate it for you and everything, girl. It's amazing. So they made shrimp fettuccine for the family. It was delicious.
That's me hitting the desk.
Y'all should see their faces.
You know what?
Y'all should see their faces. They made shrimp fettuccine.
You're doing something right over there, girl. You are doing something right.
You know what Shayera cooks when she cooks? Buffalo chicken dip. You can get.
Oh, that sounds good though.
You can get.
Not even the chicken, just the dip.
Let me tell you, you can get all the ingredients from the dollar store. So how?
Well, no, I will say, because I was feeling some kind of way when they picked that shrimp, and they went for like the tiger shrimp. But I was like, okay, we're going to do this tonight. So they made dinner. Then we sat and we watched 2 movies. We watched Sing and we watched Moana and played this jelly bean game.
Can we just have a moment for Moana? And
it was so good.
I
love Moana.
Sing was good too, because I love movies where animals sing.
But Moana, when the fire turns into the green goddess.
Yes, and the heart comes back. Yes,
everything.
Yes. That was everything.
It was so great.
I love Moana.
And so they went to bed, and we were like, "Oh my God, that day was so great." And then my husband decided he wanted to prank them for April Fools, which I hate April Fools. It's my least favorite holiday. I hate pranks. He woke me up at 2 a.m. and again at 4 a.m. because he wanted to wake them up and tell them that there had been an earthquake and we had to evacuate. And I was like, if we wake them up at 2 a.m, our whole good day is going to go to shit and everybody's going to be pissed off. I can't go back to sleep. It's going to be a nightmare. He woke me up again at 4. He was like, guess what? I found news coverage on YouTube and it looks like a real earthquake happened. And I was like, I can't believe you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning looking for this. It was just so ridiculous.
He was committed, man.
He did it again at 7 a.m. He's like, this is our last chance. I was like, fuck it. So we woke the kids up. We've had the news story on 5.2 earthquake rocks Los Angeles. It's a whole thing. And we're like, guys, we're going to head to Grammys. The power lines are down. We got to get out of here. We don't want you to panic. Don't panic. Don't panic. But just grab a jacket and some shoes. Girl.
I know that he took it to the extra. I know that he acted.
Oh my God.
I know he acted.
We're just like, and we're like, did you call Grammy? Did you call? Yeah, let her know we're on the way. Riley, we doing the whole thing. The news is on outside. We got my poor kids. Everybody's in the car. It's funny. The best part is, yeah, we got them in the car, girl. The best part is what they grabbed. Okay, Lexington looked like somebody had just hit her with a lawnmower. Like she was just a mess. Taya had taken the time to brush up her hair and put on her leather jacket in the middle of an evacuation. Talani is a pack rat. She can't help but to grab something. I looked, and what she had grabbed was like this really soft blanket because my baby does believe in comfort, and her makeup bag, which she don't even wear makeup like that. She don't even wear makeup like that. So we got in the car, and then we were like, April Fools! And the preteens wouldn't even make eye contact. Like, they were just like, these bitches. They wouldn't even look us in the face. And then they come with the, I knew it was a trick. We were like, but you're in the car. Buckled up, ready to evacuate. So even if you knew it, you did this. So we had to take them to get donuts to kind of like soften things and make it back right. The whole thing ended well. And, like I always say, we're a blended family. Sometimes it don't all mesh well. But that Friday to Saturday was a really great transition.
Oh, that's great.
And that's my what's good is, every now and then you'll get a shrimp dinner, couple movies in, and, you're like, yes, this is a good day.
RJ loves
Yay. Oh, that's great.
Him and Q Baby prepare for it like a week in advance. So he sends me a voice text, and it's like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. And this is exactly how he sounds. I can't believe this is happening. No, don't do it. Oh, my iPad died. And then it hangs up. And so he calls me on April Fool's, and he's like, hey, Mom. I'm like, hey. And he's like, did you get my text message? And I'm like, no, because we're out of town. I was like, I haven't checked my text message. But here's the thing. When I got the text message, it's like, but I know you're okay. Because you called me and told me to check
to see if I got it.
So
the younger they are, the worse the pranks are.
So horrible.
Bless his heart. They'll get better, though.
So terrible.
Beware.
Yeah, he really looks forward to it.
Okay,
so let's do what you
bless her heart. All right. So I actually was going to say, this is so coincidental because I didn't know what Thea was going to say first, but I was going to say, I'm sure I have seasonal affective disorder. And spring has sprung, praise the Lord.
You're a sun you're a sun person, naturally. We should have seasonal affective.
She was born and raised in Florida. But what is, no, I mean,
in
she's
Florida.
Black.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm Black and I'm from Florida. People who have the disorder are profoundly affected by the climate and the amount of light that they get, the amount of sun, and it really affects them emotionally. And so I live in a place where there is overcast and fog most of the year.
I know that.
We're in like a valley between, we're right by the water. The marine layer comes off the water and just sits in this valley on top of the city. So it is usually overcast and gray and foggy. And we had about a good 3 weeks of just bright sun and warmth. And my God, I felt like I had won the lotto. Just like there was a spring in my step. A sister was just smiling for no reason. Like, what is happening to me? And then I realized how long it had been since I'd had so much sunshine. And I agree, man. We are made for sun. We are made for light. We are made to be out in it. As much, and I didn't know. I grew up in Florida, so took it for granted, and have mostly lived in Florida or places that gave me a good amount of sun. So being without
it rains every day. From June till maybe early July? It rains every day.
All the way up to September. Yeah. I mean, afternoon showers.
It rains so much that in Florida, before it rains, if you're asking someone what they're going to do with their day, it's like, well, after it rains, because you just know that it's going to happen. But there's no overcast. Like, it rains, and then the sun comes out like nothing ever happened.
The sky falls, it's horrible, and then it's gone. Gone. Sun is out again, and it's like it never happened. So I'm just really, really, really thankful for some sun, and we'll be making really conscious efforts to seek out sun and green spaces where I can soak up as much of this as I can until we move to a sunnier place.
The bare feet is a part of that too. Like that grounding to earth is really important.
When you talk about the bare feet, being born and raised in the South where I was, bare feet is just a thing. Like, we walk outside barefoot. It's like no thing. And it's funny, when I moved to other places, like in LA, I would never walk out. I would have never walked outside barefoot. And maybe because I lived around a lot more concrete in LA. But in the South, it's nothing for me to walk to my mailbox
Yeah.
barefoot.
My
or it's
grandmother's
just not
land
a
is the
thing.
same way in Maryland. My grandmother's
Yeah.
land in
Yeah.
Maryland is the same way. We used to run around there barefoot all the time. And
Yeah.
what I realize is that little things like the sun and being barefoot, there are also things associated with our childhoods. You know, they're things that you do as children. And they brought us so much joy then, and they can bring us so much joy now if we start to reinstitute them as a part of who we are now, who we still are,
Yeah.
you know? So I've been making sure
Absolutely.
and that's what I've been planning for when that winter time comes and there's less sun again, is then my plan is to be very intentional about being barefoot and being outside, even though it feels cold out. I'm in California, so I'm fortunate, but I think that grounding will still be even more important, and taking vitamin D will
Yeah.
be more important during that time.
They have special light bulbs for it and
They
different
do.
things
I
that,
didn't
you
know
know,
that.
I would,
Yeah,
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 they do.
They
That
do.
really mimic the sun if you live in a place where you can't get a lot of sun. And so if I'd known what I know now, I would have probably invested in some of those
Yeah.
to get through that long season
Yeah.
for sure. The other thing I wanted to talk about for what's good is I just want to just brag a little and throw my hands up and praise the Lord about my eldest has accomplished something really, really huge in our
Yeah.
homeschool community, curriculum, or whatever. And I'll probably talk a little bit more about this when we get mac and cheese. But as a homeschooling parent, it's hard to get those wins. It's hard. Like we're not on Facebook posting progress reports and report cards and honor roll. And so it's a thing to be very showy about what your child's accomplished in school. And homeschooling parents just don't have those types of, tangible type of wins along the way. We see our child progressing. We know our child's doing great at their pace, whatever that is. But it doesn't always look like what it looks like for everyone else. So this
Right.
is one of those things. She won something called Memory Master, which essentially she had to recite back all of the information she's learned this year in the program. And it was over 400 facts across 7 subjects: Latin, English,
Wow.
science, math, geography. And it was amazing. I don't know that I would have been able to do it at 8, but she did it, and she did it just without even any struggle. I was like, don't you want to study? Don't you want to prep? Don't you want to let me drill you? And she was like, I'm good. You know,
Did you say
I'm
Latin?
gonna play with my toe. Latin.
Like the language?
Latin is up in there. Uh-huh. Yeah. So
Bad
Yes.
mommy. Bad mommy. It's impressive.
It is. I wish I had learned Latin, but I learned Spanish. So that's the Romance languages have that kind of underlying string there. That's similar. But anyway, it's nothing like what she's able to get from getting Latin conjugations right now. So anyway, I just wanted to just say I am just so proud of her.
With Latin conjugations, girl.
I'm just trying to get these kids to act right. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to get them to want it. You know what I mean? Do you want it? Do you want it? I'm just trying to motivate.
You got to want it for yourself.
Latin.
You got to want it. Well, at 8. Yeah, so she did amazing. I'm really proud of that, and it's one of those that I feel like is a win that I can say, whew, we're doing something right over here. It's working for her.
Yeah.
And those are really, really important along the way.
You said that people post. I think with my kids, I post I don't want to say they're failures, but they're.
You post their funny moments.
I post their funny moments. Like RJ had a progress report. I remember when he was in preschool, and it said, "Does RJ recognize patterns and shapes?" And it's like, yes, excellent, above average. Can RJ add single-digit numbers? Yes, above average. Can RJ skip? Needs work. Can RJ jump rope? Needs work.
Needs work.
So those
are
like the progress. Those are the
things
stories.
you post.
Those are the stories that I tell about my kids. Maybe every once in a while, if they get an award or something like that, I'll post it. But I'm not consistently posting their report cards or anything like that.
So that's it. It was a win for us.
It is a huge thing and a huge reflection of the dedication and structure and foundation that you've provided as their homeschooling parent. Well, that's a great segue also into our mac and cheese segment. So today we're going to be focusing on education. And we wanted to do this topic before, but something else kind of usurped it at the time. But it's resurfacing. Spring is a time. It's a big time in education. People are finding out if they're accepted into schools, if they're accepted into programs, if they're going to a master's and whatever. It's a huge time, especially if your kid is in a transitional phase my daughter's in a transitional phase of going from middle school to high school. So
it's a big time in
everybody's waiting
right.
to hear.
And it's a big time in education because testing, if your child is
testing is happening.
School,
prep for graduation is happening. Today we kind of just wanted to bring that up because we live in varied areas. We have varied educational experiences. I think I probably live in one of the more challenging spaces for education. I live in Los Angeles. We have something called the Magnet Program. And the Magnet Program in Los Angeles Unified School District is essentially part lottery, part merit. So to qualify for Magnet Program, you do have to be on the higher end of the spectrum in terms of your academic performance. And once you're in Magnet, I feel like you get this security net that the other students definitely don't get. I wanted my kids in that security net. I mean, if it's a choice between them being in it or not being in it, I definitely wanted them to be in it. I thought it was the only way I could get them a better education without having to figure out how to pay for private school because I couldn't afford private school as an option. But I also feel like I pay taxes into public schools and should be able to benefit from that.
You went to private school, right?
I did. When I grew up, I went to all private schools. I went to all private schools growing up. One in Inglewood, so it was private school, but it was Black. My mom was very big on that. And it was one of those schools that went from elementary to middle. So all the way through 8th grade. And I think it really has a lot to do with, I have great friendships from that age that I still have today, 30-year friendships.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I met all of them in kindergarten, first and second grade, their whole rat pack. That was the model I had for education. I didn't know anything about public school to compare it to public school in LA. As I got older, I began to understand the differences. Basically, kids in public school were badder, in air quotes, than other students in private school, supposedly, which isn't actually true, having gone to private school. Folks get pregnant there too, just for the record. They be in shit. They sell weed for show, and they ain't all Black that selling weed. In fact, white folks be slanging up in public schools. I just want you to know. And then when I went to high school, my parents decided they wanted us to be in a more diverse setting. We got sent out to Torrance, which is, pretty white. It was a bit of a culture shock, but I felt like I was prepared from private schools in my community. So with my girls, I would have loved to be able to do that, but it was a different economic time than my parents' situation. Magnet was like our better option. It's been kind of our safety net. However, they were still at a Black school for elementary school with that safety net. It wasn't just the security of them being in a Magnet program in a public school. It was also knowing that they were in Black schools. And I will say this. So now my daughters are in middle school. And their middle school is one of the top rated middle schools. They're in the Magnet program. That's how they're able to go. So that's the other part for Magnet for you all to understand.
Can we just say that your daughters went to the elementary schools that they had like a viral video?
Shut out. Let me tell you how dope our elementary school is. The elementary school was the one where the videos went viral of the kids doing the Temptations or doing the New Edition dances. Listen. I know my heart goes out to y'all. I know the struggle of going to an elementary school Christmas program. I know it's only so many ways you can hear them songs. And it's only so much talent in those schools, okay? I want you to know I understand. Until I got to Baldwin Hills Elementary, I would be like, Lord Jesus, just let my kid perform first. We all feel that way. We all feel that way.
Yes.
And the first elementary school, my oldest one was at, she had a principal who had been there for like 80,000 years, girl, and would just give the longest damn intros. And you'd be like, sweet Jesus, she's holding my kids hostage. I just want to see them sing whatever the hell they gonna sing, probably Jingle Bell Rock again, and move on. But when I got to Baldwin, baby, they put on such a show. You stay the whole performance because they did a whole Motown series that they had to end up doing like 6 different shows. The kids ended up doing shows with New Edition. When they did that Motown show, we just came for the Motown show. I didn't even know what my child did in that show. I really don't. It's amazing. So that was like, Black school, yes, do it, get it at.
Because we switched RJ this year and we went to the Christmas program and 2 of the teachers sang, Mary, did you know?
Baby, right?
And hit that high note.
Right?
Wow.
It makes a difference. And then the Thanksgiving Boys and Girls program, when they did turkey on that beat instead of juju on that beat, they did turkey on that beat. It makes a difference.
See what I'm saying? It makes a
makes a
huge
difference.
difference in whether you stay through the whole performance. So that's always been great. So magnet is funny. You think you're gaining these points to get your child into a certain space, but then it doesn't always work out that way. And you could think you're doing everything right, and there's still like some caveat. It's just very bureaucratic.
And you start gaining the points
so anyway,
in elementary school, right? Or before
you start getting the points right away, but they don't guarantee you nothing for middle school. Everybody's still trying to get their kids into certain schools. It's even more competitive for middle school. My daughter ended up going to her homeschool, which, it's considered a pretty rough middle school. It is. But they had a small, mighty, black magnet program. Her teachers were black, her counselor was black, and they would not let her get behind 2 assignments before they were letting you know, whoa, what's going on here? We need a parent-teacher conference. And I really liked that. The rest of the environment was hard for my child. My child is a bit of a pacifist at times. And so, she wasn't used to seeing parents fight in front of the school. She wasn't used to that.
Oh.
Yeah, see, in the South, no matter the color, parents fight in front of the school. That's just the South.
You'll fight in front of the school. You'll fight in front of the school.
No matter the economic status, parents in the South will get down in front of the school, no matter social status.
No matter what. Whatever the case is. She was feeling a little anxious there, but I think she was just also anxious in general about 6th grade.
Yeah.
She got into this other school. It's the school her dad went to in middle school, so she wanted to go there. It's in a different part of town, but LA, you can have the wealthiest in one part and the poorest in another section and still be in LA. She liked it better socially, but grades immediately dropped and have consistently been a struggle. And I had to have the conversation with her last week, and I had to say, you are a black woman. You are one of the fiercest, strongest creatures to ever walk this planet, ever. The reality about that, though, is that in these settings, you're expected to fail. If you just don't cause a problem, if you don't have what they perceive as a behavioral problem, they will say, oh, she's doing great. We'd love to have her in a class. That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you your observations on why my child is not doing well. Not that she's a sweet kid and she sits in the back and you wait 6 weeks to tell me that these assignments are not being turned in.
With public education, 6 weeks is a long time.
It's a very long time.
Yeah.
And it's a lot.
Yeah.
And then my child is very right-brained. So I also know that her focus is difficult. She daydreams a lot. She doodles a lot. But we've always been able to meet with the teachers and create interventions together and things like that. And I will say the teachers have been receptive when I've reached out, but it concerned me that they had normalized the idea that it's okay that she wasn't performing. She just got into Fairfax High School's visual arts program. And so I'm hoping that the visual arts component satisfies something for her. But I'm going to tell you, it's really scary. And I listened to Nekisha talk about homeschooling, and if we had the money or the option, I can't say that I wouldn't consider it because of what my options are here in particular. One, I think that's a culture model to what teaching should be. You should be with somebody very passionate and who's teaching you and investing in you all through the day. And being able to have some flexibility with the curriculum. But being a working parent, I feel like because I have to work full time, I can't be as on top of their academics as I would like to. I do my best to make sure they're reading good material and looking and sharing ideas, but I feel so limited by money. I feel like because I don't have money, or we don't make a certain amount of money, I can't take a hold of that the way I want. And that's not me making excuses. It's exhausting to work.
That's
not
real.
time,
And that's not you making excuses. That is where public education has failed, and we have forgotten what the purpose of public education is. Like public for the people, right? Public, and it's not just about the idea of paying taxes into systems and institutions. And Nicole Hannah Jones writes about this so much. She is an award-winning investigative journalist, and she always says she covers this quote-unquote segregation beat. And she writes a lot about our public education system. And one of her most powerful articles is about her decision to send her daughter to her neighborhood school in a segregated city. She writes about how systemic segregation is maintained by individual choice. And so for Black parents, choosing a school is not just about test scores, and it's not just about which schools are the best. We have to think in terms of culture and how this will affect our kids culturally. Like, what is going to be the lasting impact on them culturally. So I don't think that you're making an excuse. I think what your story illuminates is that we have forgotten about the purpose of public education, and that it's supposed to be a partnership. It's supposed to be an expansion of your village, because as parents, we all know we can't give our children everything that they need, and so we build a village. We're supposed to be able to depend on other people who are within that village to help us, and part of our village is supposed to be the public school system, not because we pay tax, not only because our money pays taxes to build that system and institution, but because public means it's supposed to be for the greater good of our entire society. Yeah. So I think what your story illuminates is not that you're making an excuse, but because we've forgotten about that as a parent, you feel...
I have to make really difficult decisions on how to navigate it.
Really difficult decisions, but I've heard you talk about this, but you feel lost and you feel like you're not doing something right, or you're not prioritizing your child's education. That's not true, but that is what the system has turned into to make you think. Because education from the time we entered this country was not for Black people. Was not for Black people.
Right.
From the time we entered this country.
No.
And as Nicole Hannah-Jones says, there's a lot of money and a lot of effort put into separating them.
Yes.
And that it is a false narrative to think that people are not putting a lot of money and effort into maintaining that separation. And one of the most profound things that I found in her writing is when she says, whenever Black people and white people have been separated, Black people have always received less resources. So Black children going to school with white children, they're not excelling at those schools because they are around white children. They're excelling at those schools because those schools have more resources and they have more access to opportunity. So for me, what that says is
or they're not excelling, which is because they're not looked after. Like so that's the other thing. They're feeling,
you feel less than
abnormal, they're kind of like falling to the bottom of the so that's also what's happening. It's not that they're always excelling.
And there's a myth that if we do send our kids to school with a higher poverty rate and low performing, that is going to bring down their children's educational level, that it's going to be dumbed down to them. And statistics don't bear that out. Because here's the truth about school choice. And hey, whatever decision people have to make for their children, that is the decision you have to make for your children. The web is so entangled now that no matter what choice you make, especially for Black people, you're going to lose something.
There's stuff you have to deal with.
The thing about it is there are going to be kids who don't have access to transportation to get to those charter schools or those private schools, who don't have the parental support for their education, but we are still charged with educating those kids. And so they're going to be left in that neighborhood school. And so when people say,
that's failing and not getting the resources.
People are like, charter schools, they're the answer. Look at New Orleans, not necessarily. The school system
great
is better
example
there, but there is still segregation in terms of higher performing schools and lower performing schools, and their whole district is charter now.
Well, and that whole resource thing goes back to their communities having a lack of resources, because if those communities have resources, then those parents would have resources. If those parents have resources, the kid would have resources. And so it's super systemic and it's super frustrating. And I think I have really struggled with wanting her at a neighborhood school, wanting her to stick with that magnet program, but also balancing that with, there's another parent's voice involved. And there's my child's voice and what she's comfortable. And then how about this? She's not just Black, she's an artist, right? So where the art programs, right? So wanting to also tap into the other aspects of who she is, where are the art programs that would help her to develop that part of her character, In
the state of South Carolina, you're tested for gifted and talented when you're in the third grade. In the third grade.
Well, here it's first grade.
That is absolutely
much
crazy.
earlier.
And I think, Nekisha, you sent us an article talking about how having a Black teacher helps get more Black students into gifted and talented, because we can recognize intelligence outside of books.
Yeah, in multiple ways. Yeah,
a Black child is way more likely to be labeled, to be designated as gifted and talented with a Black teacher. White teachers don't even recognize their greatness. Don't even see it.
The
to
way
test
that
them
we
for
decided
it.
to educate our kids is multi-layered, and it comes with my own history and also Rashad being an educator. So my mother was a part of the first group of students that integrated one of the high schools in my hometown. And her class wasn't the first integrated class, but she was a part of the first integrated group. She went in 10th grade. But she never goes to that high school reunion. She goes to the all-Black high school reunion. So that sent a message to me that wasn't a great experience for her. And when I was when I started school, the first time that I understood race, not culture, but race, was when I went to a preschool where I believe, I know I was the only Black person in my class, but I feel like I was the only Black person in the entire preschool. And that was how I began to understand race. That not that I was different from someone else, but that I was separate from someone. Else. My hair was different than everybody. People wanted to touch me, and I felt very isolated. I didn't fit in. And these are vivid memories. And I was 4 or 5 years old. And my family, I just remember them feeling so proud that I went to this private preschool and how that was just going to make me smarter, and it was such a great thing. But for me, the experience of going there every single day was a feeling of isolation, which continued throughout my public school education. I went to some of the best schools.
Yeah, I remember.
But I was usually one of a few Black people in my class. In some of them, I was the only Black person in my class. On my cheerleading team, I was the only Black person. I have never cheered on the cheerleading team with other Black girls. It doesn't necessarily make you feel your Blackness more. It makes you feel race. It makes you feel the social construct of race. I just remember always thinking, when and where I enter, my race enters also. That's a lot of pressure on a kid. Everything that I do speaks for the Black race. And when I was in 3rd grade, I was supposed to go to the gifted and talented program, but they didn't have one at the elementary school that I went to, so I had to switch schools. And I went the first day. I was the only Black kid in gifted and talented, and I hated it. And I cried and cried. And my dad was like, school is not just about what she's going to learn in books. It's about her social skills and her experience. And if she hates going, she's going to hate learning. And so he was like, she can go back to the other school. And my mom was like, well, she won't be in the gifted and talented program. And he's like, that doesn't mean she's not gifted and talented. That just means she's not in the program.
Right.
And so that sent a message to me about that education is a wide range of things. And so in deciding to educate our children, looking for a preschool, if we were going to pay for it, it was going to be Black. Because from an early age, I wanted them to go to a place that had reflections of them in the teachers, in the leadership, and in other students. And that they could see that they were a diverse people, that Black just wasn't this, but Black was a lot of other things. One of the transitions that we had with RJ was twofold. His birthday is in late August. So we decided to, I guess it's called redshirting. I didn't know there was a term for it. But he repeated 4K because emotionally we didn't think that he was ready to move on to kindergarten. And he went from a all-Black preschool to a predominantly white elementary school, and he was the only Black person in his class. I know, and I just thought to myself, I'm doing the thing to him that I hated the most about going to school. But this was the best school in the district. And I walked into the school for Black History Month, and they had nothing about Black history. Not even a bulletin board. Not even a picture of Dr. King.
Come
on.
And
right then I was like, you know what? It's not even about Black history. It's about Black culture. There's no reflection of Black culture in this space. And that year, we decided to send him to a black school. I'm not going to say diverse because it's a black school. It's predominantly black. It's a black school. And that same year, Shaira was at a predominantly white institution. She was in college. She felt like, I can't just be here. Like, I'm constantly fighting racism here. And like, I just want to be right now. Like, I'm in college. Like, I just want to be, I just want to learn. I just want to nurture my gift and my talent. And so she transferred to an HBCU the following year. I was privileged enough that I'm not worried about RJ academically. Like, he's a brilliant kid. And I know that we have the resources to supplement his education, which a lot of people don't. So I just decided to take this opportunity to use my privilege and put him in a school that was lower performing. I love the principal, black woman. It's an old school. Like, it's not the best building, but there are reflections of his culture everywhere. In terms of economics, there are diverse black children that go there. I have never thought of myself as privileged until I began to look at RJ's education. And I was like, yeah, we are. We have a lot of privileges. And what can we do with this privilege to disrupt this system? And my husband taught me to not just look at, okay, this school is high performing, but how do they perform among black students? How do they perform among black males?
Yes, absolutely.
What is the principal like?
I intend to do that with Taya. I intend to find, I've heard part of what made me okay with her going to the school she's going to be going to for high school is, one, we've worked with them, Crystal, you know, we work with Greenway Theater, Arts Alliance, and the Poetry Lounge, and so I've heard amazing things about their arts programs, but also that they do have more black teachers and representation. Where she is now, I haven't seen one black teacher. I haven't seen one, and I don't like that at all. The other thing I want to point out is that it's not just if the school is all white, it's if the school has a low percentage of black people, because no matter what culture you're in, you're taught anti-blackness on some level, whether it's through colorism or whatever.
So we know that my educational choices have been different from most people in general. And some of it was born out of my own lived experiences as well as my husband's. And some of it was born out of being out of options, quite frankly. And that's how we ended up where we are today. Listening to you all speak, though, I do wish that, even though I am firm in this decision to home educate, I do wish that I had opportunities to surround my children with other black educators in some way, other than myself and my husband. You know what I mean? Up until this point, and that the opportunities just weren't there because of our lifestyle, and we move a lot, and we have yet to be in a place where they could have had a black teacher. Maybe next time.
Your kids would have been in preschool all at once, and that's expensive.
Hell yeah. So that's kind of how we fell into it. We fell into it when we moved to Fairfax County, Virginia, and I couldn't get anybody in I had a 3-year-old and an 1.5-year-old, and was trying to get them into preschools. Was not looking to homeschool at all. Was looking into preschools, and literally the time of year we moved there, we got there in the late summer, as I recall. And every preschool I contacted was either over $20,000 a year in tuition, or we had missed the lottery. We had missed the whole thing where you sleep overnight on the lawn trying to be first in line with your application to get, it's just a really highly sought after school district. We missed the boat. So we couldn't get either of them into preschool. And so I was like, all right, they're 1 and 3. They can stay home with me. And we spent a lot of time at the park and just fell into this community that was at the park. We were frequently seeing the same families and had discussions with them about, our kids aren't going to school anyway. We're deciding to home educate. And that led me on a path of researching and praying and thinking, and us talking about what it might look like. I believe with all my heart that every single parent, if they're doing their job, is a home educator, period. It is what it is. You are doing work beyond what your kid is getting, sitting in their desk at school all day. You are teaching them life lessons. You are teaching them how to be a person, a good, not a person, a global member of society who is contributing to the greater good. You are doing that work, and it goes way beyond the textbook work. You know what I mean? And so I think that we all are doing that. This is just taken to another level. In terms of a whole nother level. whole
I quote unquote
but we
homeschooled
eased
RJ
into
until
it.
he was like 1.5, and I was like, ooh yeah, like we so we got to bring somebody else in because I don't have no more.
Yeah. You have it. I think every
No,
parent is.
Nekisha.
I
No,
don't
Nekisha.
think
No,
homeschooling is
Nekisha.
for
I don't
every
have it.
parent.
I
I
have
don't
it.
think it's for every parent or every child. But I do think that you, Crystal, are capable of it.
No. Like, really, like for real.
if you-
Like on the real. Like I think you're being kind, but on the real, like no.
I don't think so.
No.
You don't think so, Thea?
Chris
No.
will be texting me like if he asks me one more question.
I can't do it.
If he
Well,
asks
you
me
just
one
take
more
a
question.
break. You take a break. Anyway, so I think we're born educators. We're born being able to nurture and lead another little human being along the path that they should go into. Most of us, if we're doing this thing right, have some things that we can teach, and we do that outside of the hours that they are going to school, or during the hours that they would normally be in traditional school. We're doing that as parents all the time. So I don't feel like what I do is so different, but I do recognize my privilege in the situation. I understand this is not a thing that many parents can do. It's a tough decision that hundreds of thousands of Black families are making based on some of the things that you guys have mentioned as issues, as trials in the public school sector and otherwise. But it's a thing that requires the resources and the money and the access and transportation and all these things that I have to employ daily to do it well, right? I can't just, we can't just watch TV all day now. I got to go buy a curriculum and enroll into programs and drive.
Y'all.
She went, and you remember
Plan
when
field
she had
trips,
dressed
yeah.
in uniform one year when she tried to do the uniform.
We start every year with uniforms. We start every single year with uniforms, and it mostly has to do with them doing like 3-4 wardrobe changes throughout the day. And my laundry, I can't with the laundry. So until they start doing laundry, we're gonna get uniforms every year. But that falls off in a couple months.
Nekisha,
I still try though.
How long are you planning on homeschooling them
through high school till
Really?
they
All the way
leave my
through?
house and go to college? Yeah, I do, but not by myself. I will continue to utilize the resources that are around me wherever we go, and that looks differently at different ages.
That's what I'm saying. You think there's going to be a pushback at a certain age?
Because honestly, if one of my kids said, I want to be homeschooled, I'd be like, who you been talking to? What are you talking about?
We don't even use such
are
terms
public
in this
school
house.
Advocates. Your daddy is a principal. You'll break his heart. But I say that, that's probably our first response, but I would really...
It's so funny.
Probably try to find a community to make that happen. So I'm just wondering, if they wanted to go to public school, would you be open to that?
So,
Because I'm thinking by high school,
possibly,
high school, socially, they might be on some
you know what,
other.
Thea? I would have given anything to be homeschooled in high school. I hate it.
Well, but that's partly because of your high school experience.
I would have in middle school. Yeah, and so that's where I was. So to answer your question, we reassess every year, and we say that each year we'll do what feels right for our family.
Okay.
Right? But we're planning for the long haul.
Okay.
Right? And I believe that at least one of mine will want to do this thing all the way through.
And I know which one is not going to want to do it all the way through. Mm-hmm.
I do too.
It's not the one that went for the testing.
No.
But like our youngest, Care Bear, I always say, we can't let white folks get a hold of him.
You know what?
Yeah.
No, that was part of it. So our oldest, she was what threw us over the edge. Like, oh, we got to do this thing because she is going to be labeled a problem in the classroom. She got a lot of questions. She's very intellectually curious. That's going to be annoying. It's going to get on somebody's nerves. And her light is so bright, we felt like it would be dimmed with trying to put her in a box in terms of who she is. And so it was a very purposeful decision to home educate her. We weren't always sure that we would do it for everybody. It just they happened to have come along, and it works for them as well for now. Anyway,
whatever just walked into the room.
Pause.
There's a baby.
Baby.
Good morning, baby. What you got?
She brought. She did. She did.
I need to homeschool.
Smile. Say hi.
It's Honor.
Hi.
Yeah.
That's Honor.
Sweetie.
And she's
I know
not
it's
naked.
Honor always
Let's
comes
say hi.
through. Honor always comes through. Honor, you know what, boo boo? Boo, I need you to come teach
They're
my
saying nice
kids.
things about you.
Child for homeschooling.
They're saying
Like,
very
she
nice
really
things.
is. She is a poster child.
Honor. How did I know that was honor? Because at a certain point,
They
I would
love
tell you
you.
through the Skype, I'd be like, "What child is it? Like, give me 5 seconds to figure out what child it is." But because she brought
Thank
you
you.
a plate,
And
I
you
knew
know
it was honor.
We know it was
Because
honor.
she wasn't asking you to come make her a plate, because that would have been that would have been a different baby.
Yeah.
That would have been the
Now,
youngest.
You know what
That
I
would have
love
been the
about
baby.
her, though? Is that the bonnet is still on to keep the hair moisturized and in the position that it needs to be. Like, that is what I love. That
She
is
knows
what
it's
I love.
serious.
The bonnet is still
It's
on.
serious.
Pattern.
We're
Yeah,
committed to
pattern.
these edges. But yeah, anyway, back to that. So I think what solidified it for us, there's a number of things that happened over the years, but what solidified it for us were our experiences in middle and high school, our own personal experiences, and some of the things we wanted to make sure that we help our children navigate through. Because I went through some of that stuff on my own and could have used some leadership and some guidance.
I hated school. I missed so many days, and I was tardy so many times. I had to go to Saturday school, but it was because I hated school. And I think part of that goes back to, I knew I was black, I knew my culture, but I don't think I wasn't comfortable in my skin.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't sure how to be black around other people. And I think that came from, because you spend most of your day at school. You spend most of your day at school.
Yeah.
And so if I'm in an
Yeah. I relate
Yeah, if
completely
I'm-
to that, to what you're saying.
if
I
I'm
relate
in an
completely to that.
environment-
Yeah.
if I'm in an environment most of my day where my brightness brings on a sense of pressure, that's how I'm attached to my blackness. It wasn't until I got to college and actually took Black Studies courses that I began to understand my blackness and began to be a lot more comfortable in my blackness. I was the first black person to become the queen of my high school. It wasn't a good experience being the first black person to do it.
Yeah.
From black people,
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
some of the treatment that I got from black girls, and from some of the treatment that I got from white people. And so homeschooling for me,
For sure.
if somebody said you can learn at home, any volunteers, I would have been like, me, I'll take it. Because the white girls
Yeah.
on my cheerleading team, for the most part, they treated me, pretty fairly, and I really liked them. But I wanted to be around black girls,
So that happened for me as well. So I shared in another discussion that, I started out at the local black elementary school, and then really quickly got tested into gifted and talented, which means I had to ride the bus to the black school and then get on another bus and ride across town to the white school for gifted and talented because they didn't have it. So spent my days from kindergarten to third grade being bused to another school across town, and then we moved and I was able to go to a local school. From that point on was in predominantly white schools with still probably, if in retrospect, I would say about 20-30% black. And so there were enough of us around that it didn't feel like I was in an all-white school. But, it had a little bit of clusters of black folk there, other black students there that I could relate to. But it was still very much a white education, if that makes sense. Elementary, middle school, high school, all the same. So something happened in high school where I tested into the International Baccalaureate program and got, all of a sudden in 9th grade, started getting bused again to yet another school for that program. And I acted out so badly in that program because I was then for real the only black student, for real, and just could not. I didn't realize how much I would miss being able to find my people, being able to find, at least even if it's 20%, I could still find a little cluster of other black students that I could relate to, and just really bucked. Did everything I could until my mom finally said, fine, you can leave the program, fine. And she sent me back to my neighborhood school, which was about 20-30% black. And I was able to get back into, I didn't realize it until now in retrospect, I just really needed to be back around my folks. I needed to be there.
Because you're so prim and proper. I cannot imagine.
No, I cut the fool. I really did. It was a sin and a shame. But, and then I cut the fool at the black school because I was trying to make sure y'all know I'm down. I'm here. I'm one of us, and cut the fool there and got
You were
some
trying to
fights.
do too much.
Too.
Oh,
I was doing too damn
that would have
much.
gone over bad in my
Yeah.
What would be your ideal educational setting for your child?
I would love an Afro-centered approach to learning. I would love for it to be outside. I would love for it to be a lot of it to take place outdoors. I would like for a lot of it to take place in much more relational type spaces, like where, you know, teachers who are doing what they love with students who are gravitating to what they love. I know that part of the day would have to be like, you know, set curriculum, but I think another part of the day could be more explorative, which I think my children would really, really like. And I think they're used to closer relationships with their teacher. They loved their teachers before. They had great close relationships with their teachers. They were all Black women. I would love a school that taught about spirituality in a way that was like really healthy and tolerant, and teaching tolerance and teaching acceptance, and teaches things about the environment, teaches things about social justice. The bigger picture. I would like for them to be more well-rounded.
Would you want it to be an all-Black environment?
I would want it to be an Afro-centered environment. Everybody wouldn't have to be Black there, but that learning perspective and how it's taught and where it's taught and would be like from it takes a village approach. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be mad if it was all Black. I would not be mad. But I think it's important that our kids learn sustainable living.
I'm trying to think, like, is my ideal environment a public school that has like all the characteristics that you're talking about? Or is my ideal environment a community that they can get all of those things from? Do you see what I'm saying?
No, totally. I
yes,
think a community
I do.
would be amazing.
Go ahead, Thea.
Honestly. And I think a community where the parents didn't have to work so much. Like, again, listening to you all, I hear the things that I could consider if I didn't have to work full time. Necessarily, like, if there were options to like work part-time or, you know, just something, right? Just some weight off of me financially to be able to do those things.
Not even that I'm not working right now, because even when I was working, we had that choice. My option is sheer privilege. Yeah. Like the fact that my husband is an administrator, we get to choose. If my kids want to go to the best school in that district, it's no problem for them to go to the best school. I think it's funny the way that education is structured in our country. Like, I feel like, I don't know if I feel like school should start at 8 o'clock in the morning. Like why are we not starting at 9 or 10? Like,
I don't think it should.
Like, why are we starting at 8? So I think it's really sad that you're caught between, or you feel like, or the system is set up to make you feel like, because I have to work, I can't be there for my children in the way that I want to. For the education. And I actually think that you are there for your children. I think that the
I do too.
I do too. Feel like you're not doing enough, because whenever we talk about education, we talk about blame. It's teacher's fault. It's administrator's fault. It's the parents' fault. The parents aren't doing this. We never talk about what is wrong with our
values as a country.
And what is wrong with the system in terms of our values.
Yeah. And I think that's our value.
Right. So I hear you saying you wish you had more time and more accessibility, but you are already doing so much of that. And, you know, the old adage of, you know, do what I say, not what I do. But kids really do just see you. They see what you're doing. And that means so much more than what you're saying to them. And so they're seeing you live this life of being a real free artist and enjoying the outside and the environment and valuing the gifts the earth has given us, you know, in stones and in oils, all these things. They're seeing that. They're cooking. They are very independent, very equipped young women. You know what I mean? It's obvious that you're doing all these things, even if it doesn't feel so because of the constricts of the system. Yeah. So this is the thing for me. Listening to Thea's description of the ideal school environment, I was like, well, shit, I'd sign my kids up too. That sounds perfect. And in that scenario, I would not be their educator. There would be some other really nurturing Black women and Black men who I could trust to have their best interest at heart and to guide them into being the people that they're destined to be. It would not necessarily be me in an ideal situation.
So I asked that question because I think it's a really interesting time in education in America. I wonder, in terms of this push towards charter schools and privatizing education, can Black people utilize that now
to create what we want
to our benefit? Like, I am a public school advocate. I do feel like if you take all of these kids out of public education in neighborhood schools, there are going to be children left there who don't have support or transportation, who have to be educated. So with that in mind, is this a moment that we can take and turn what they want to do on its ear?
Yes.
I think she and 45 represent an opportunity to decolonize a lot of things. And I think that word is going to be a word that I use repeatedly for the foreseeable future, which is to decolonize everything. And really, I think we have blueprints, right? We can look at, how were we educating our children before all this? Like, what did that look like? How did that work for us? How were they being nurtured into their gifts, into their destiny, as Nekisha put it? And then how can we put that in a modern framework? I don't think it's necessarily about us even having to reconstruct the wheel as much as remembering the wheel, that it existed prior to them, and then adding some modifications to standardize it to our modern needs as, people in this current era, So I do think it is an opportunity. I think all of it is, honestly, and that's how I decided to reframe it is, it's time for me to remember a lot of things, to remember that we were doing these things very successfully prior to this whole construct, and that it still works. And there's ways we can definitely modernize it to what we need to.
We always find a way to work these systems in our best interest. We could certainly do more of it. I do think that this is a prime opportunity for us to use your phrase, Crystal, turn this thing on its head, where we could create opportunities for example, the ideal schooling environment that Thea just created. That could be created as a charter. You know what I mean? And could thrive and do extremely well, knowing, though, that those monies are going to be dependent upon test scores. You know what I mean? And they're going to have some benchmarks that have to be met in order for the school to continue to thrive and get the funding. There's an opportunity to create those spaces for our children using those vouchers in a way that really nurtures and doesn't leave behind those in the public schools that are failing, but sweeps and pulls them in.
Because I think, the thing about charters that people don't tell is that they can choose their students.
Right.
Like a public school can't choose their students. If you live in this area, I can't turn you down. At least that's how it is in South Carolina. I can't turn you down unless there's a discipline issue. And in elementary school and most times in middle school, there's not one. So I can't turn you away from the school if this is the school that you're zoned to. A charter school, they get to pick their students, and that's the truth. Touting their scores, that's great. Kudos to you. But you got to choose your students. And even if it's a student that doesn't have parental support, but has the will to go to that charter school and fill out that application, that's not a luxury that a lot of public schools in high poverty areas have. But anyway, I was just thinking that because I felt like I do think that it is an opportunity for us to create schools within our communities that in the beginning will be attached to those dollars. But I know that there's a way that eventually we won't have to be beholden to that. But the only way that will work is that if we're creating those schools and at the same time working to create laws that could eventually benefit us to be detached from those Eurocentric outcomes. Does that make sense?
It does. So, there's an interesting aside here related to the homeschooling community and DeVos and her vouchers ideas, is that when that first came out, she had a line in there that said homeschoolers could also get funding, sort of vouchers, if you will, for their home educating needs. And there is a groundswell in the white homeschooling community to buck against that. There were petitions, there were calls. They did everything possible to get homeschooling removed completely, that language removed completely, because under no circumstances do they want money from the government, because they know that would also come with some strings attached and some benchmarks to hit and some criteria to be met, and they don't want to be controlled at all. And that worked. That language is no longer there. Homeschoolers are no longer included in the language that she has crafted. And so that type of groundswell, that type of rising up against and deciding what we will and won't be defined by and measured by is something I think we could, I hate to say learn from, something that we could employ ourselves, to your point, in changing the laws that are binding us in this type of educational system.
Yeah. I'm not in the necessarily resist mode anymore as much as I'm in the where's the opportunity here? Where's the opportunity that we're missing?
Oh, because it's going to happen.
Now.
It's going to happen. So we need to know how we can best thrive in the environment that's coming.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So now we're going to move on to our collection plate causes. And our collection plate causes are causes that we want to highlight, that we will urge you to give your time, attention, and yes, maybe some money to help move them forward, because we feel as though they are helpful and impactful in our community. And so, Nekisha, your first.
Yes. I'd like to just shout out the National Black Child Development Institute, which is an
had no idea this existed.
Yes.
I had no idea this existed.
It is an advocacy organization that's over 40 years old, that has been around to alleviate the effects of poverty on education for Black children. And they offer, they advocate for early childhood education, health, child welfare, literacy, family engagement, everything possible for children K through 8 in Black communities. And to learn more about the National Black Child Development Institute, please visit www.nbcdi.org. And we will share that link in our show notes.
Wow, I had no idea that existed.
Jesus.
I'm going to show that to Q.
Yes.
My collection plate cause is NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness. And people may or may not have heard of this, because NAMI's been around for a very long time, started with families in 1979. And we talk about mental illness off and on throughout our shows. I think we've brought up different disorders and different situations, but we really have systemically, institutionally, nothing in place in this country for mental health. We have resources or services, but there's no structure to that. NAMI is really big on educating, particularly helping with family members and community members to understand the nature of mental illnesses, which is a big burden off the backs of those who are struggling with mental illness, as well as offering supportive services and advocacy services to people with mental illnesses. They have chapters on college campuses. You can do chapters in your local community. It's something you should definitely look into as we continue to highlight the conversation about mental health in the Black community. If your family member is struggling and you don't know how to support them, I totally recommend that you reach out to NAMI for resources and support groups, because no one knows what it's like to have a family member with schizophrenia or to have a family member with bipolar and to struggle with how to be there for them, but other people who are going through that. And so it helps a lot. So it's www.nami.org. And that's my collection plate cause for today.
My collection plate cause for today is the Conscious Kid National Children's Social Justice Library. And I discovered them on Instagram. They're at The Conscious Kid. I think that's their Instagram handle. And their Instagram page is lit. It's so like colorful with their books and everything. They are a custom library subscription service for diverse children's books featuring empowering and authentic depictions of characters from underrepresented and oppressed groups. So this is for parents, educators, librarians, youth-serving organizations can subscribe to the library, and the books will be shipped directly to your home, your classroom, or your organization each month. And at the end of each month, subscribers mail those books back, and then a new shipment of diverse books arrives. So it's like a library. So you check out the books, and then you turn them back in. And so the monthly subscriptions are really low, and it only covers the cost of shipping the books. 3-month subscription is like $21, and you get about $60 worth of books. And they serve youth ages 0 to 18. So they do need donations in order to keep their library going and to expand their library. So please follow them on Facebook, follow them on Instagram, follow them on Twitter, and subscribe and donate, because it's a really, really great cause. And even though you have to turn the books back in, you can't keep them. Instead of trying to find books on your own to buy for your kids, you can subscribe, see what books you like, see what books you don't like, and turn them back in, and then, buy the books elsewhere, the ones that you like. But they do sort of the shopping for you. And I think it's a great way to raise a conscious kid. We have A is for activist, and when Kirsten and I read it, I say, "Are you an activist?" And he says, "No." And then I say, "Is mommy an activist?" And he says, "Yes." And he holds up his little.
But he's going to own a hell of a club. He's going to own a hell of a club.
He's not an activist, but that's okay.
The spot. I will be there. Auntie Thea, are you at the club again? Yes. Let me in. You know I'm VIP, Karis. Yeah. It's how it's going to work out.
You know, and I just accepted that what my kids end up being is not a reflection of who I am. It is whether or not I am there to guide them and to help them.
Absolutely, yes,
whether they succeed or fail.
That's beautiful.
The choices, the career choices, are not a reflection of me, legal or illegal.
No.
Just whatever.
Legal or illegal.
All right. It's time for our final segment, people. Our final segment, as always, is Black Mamas Say. And we got a doozy today. Because we are talking about education, that was our theme for today. We're going to stick with that for Black Mamas Say. Today it is You Gonna Learn Today.
Learn today. God, that strikes fear. That strikes fear in my heart just hearing it.
Tell us about it, Thea.
You gonna learn today that Auntie Maxine ain't here to play no games with you. And not only is she not here to play your games, but she rose deep. She got squad. You don't want to fuck with Auntie Maxine. And she got Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton with that cheetah print in the background when she talking. Baby, I want you to understand. She rose deep. Her folks roll hard with her. The leather jacket, girl. Hillary came with the leather jacket for Auntie Maxine. I want you to know she rose deep and her squad is real. Okay, that's how I like to roll with folks like that. So you gonna keep making your little comments, your little one-offs, and you gonna find out who gonna bust this Russian story right open. Is going to be Auntie Maxine, and then she gonna be like James Brownette, bitch. James Brownette. Okay? And we're going to be right there behind it like whoop-de-whoop, fingers in the air. Okay? I want you to know. You're going to learn today. Come for us. See what happens. LA all day. Yes, we roll. California, gangs are real. Hashtag
LA all day.
Gangs are real. Got it. Boom. That's it.
And you know what? That is the rest for my You Gonna Learn Today. You gonna learn today that when a black woman stretches out a word and then replaces the verb in the word,
tagging us in. Yes.
In essence, tagging in her sisters. Like Maxine Waters said, I'm a strong. She tagging us in.
Right.
She tagging us
That's
in.
it.
Like
bad signal.
You just
bad
to
signal.
It, and then when she strings out strong, you're like,
yes,
something going down. And then
that was a bad signal.
It was. She said, there's a signal. And then she said, I am not afraid. Not afraid. She replaced the AI with a short E. She said, and I am not afraid. It's like, that is the call.
On that note, also know, because this is a shout out to Kirk and Rashida on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. If a black woman asks you a question, she already knows the answer. Don't
already
lie.
Knows
Don't
the answer.
do it, because this is what we have. We know that you are that thing. Now we're trying to see if you are a liar too. No, just assume she knows the answers, because if not, you're gonna look like a 5-year-old on national TV trying to explain.
And not only that, here's the thing: if she asks you the question and she stretches out a word in the question, that means
it's over.
Her, her sisters, her peoples, they already know what's going down.
They just waiting for the word to pack her shit.
Right, like how Black China packed up that house. Like,
listen,
we can pack up a house. We can pack up a house.
Yeah, Black China needs to start a moving company for like black women who got to get out.
Yeah, and we're not talking about like some abuse stuff. We're talking
have
about
the
some
squad
scandalous trifling. If you try to leave a scandalous trifling man, then we need to have a moving system for that.
Yeah,
that's it. Just be ready. Stay ready.
So when she stretches out the word, just know that her people already know. So it's really nobody you can call. So you just need to go ahead and tell the truth.
And not the partial truth.
So that's my
spill it all.
Spill the whole truth.
All. Because she already knows. She already knows. All right, so my You Gonna Learn today comes from Mother Maya Angelou. Angelou from the PBS special that aired for her a couple weeks ago. Crystal, what was that called? Do you remember the name of that? You'll help me keep me honest here.
Still I Rise.
Still I Rise. You might have missed it if you weren't paying close attention. There was a short clip in there where Mother Maya was on a stage someplace, and a young lady in the audience was given the microphone, and she opened up her question with Maya, and Mother Maya said, "What now? What you call me?" Hold up now, what was that? And
she did.
Before I answer your question, you don't have the right to call me by my first name.
She did.
I have worked and struggled and earned this thing. Don't you ever come to an older black woman, ever, and call her by her first name. And that's just what it is. You're going to learn today.
You're going to learn today.
You're going to learn today.
You gonna learn
the bottom line, put some respect on it.
Yeah.
Put some respect on it.
Put some respect on it, goddamn it. Yes.
And I'm coming into my Mother Maya age. I'm coming into it.
I
have
would never
corrected
fix
small
my
children on
mouth
this
to
recently.
say her first name. I would never fix my mouth like that.
What?
I would never fix my mouth.
But it's not only that. Even on Twitter, we say Auntie Oprah,
We do.
Auntie
that.
Maxine,
We do.
Mama Maxine. Like, you know, no.
She learned.
No.
She learned,
No.
and I hope a great deal of people learn from watching
You know what
that.
that is?
Yes.
She didn't go to black schools.
That's the problem.
See how I could always bring it
She went
together?
to those-
See
they-
how I could always bring it full circle?
Yes.
See how I could always bring
Yes.
it? She didn't go to
When
black
you go to
schools.
those other schools,
That is something
you can
learn
call
from
the
them
teachers
others.
Jimmy.
That is something you learn from them others.
You can call the teacher Susie.
Yeah, oh, no, we don't.
Not at our schools. No, ma'am.
That's, you learn
no,
that
ma'am.
from them
You better
others.
put a handle
so,
on
so
that.
from skateboard and teacher at your diverse school. See what happens? Now
My kids, no, you better
Mama
put a
gotta
handle
smack
on
you
that.
down on
I
national
don't-
television.
Nope. I don't care what that grown up told you their name is. You better put a handle on it when you talk to her, please. You better make sure. Yeah. So
that was a really great moment. I remember that. That was a really great
that's
moment.
it.
I'm going to post that. I'm going to see if I can get that clip and make sure we put that. Up
It's
as
awesome.
well. Okay. So that closes out the
Ooh, we're 5 in.
Dim
That's so
Black
great. 5 in.
Mamas.
Make sure you follow us on Facebook at Dim Black Mamas.
Yes.
Late to the queue. Late to
You want me to do it again?
Sorry about that. Hit us up on Twitter. That's good. Hit us up on Twitter at Dim Black
And
Mamas.
Instagram at Dim Black Mamas. Also hit us up with your show with your thoughts about the show, our topics, and just show us some love.
And now don't forget we're on Tumblr. Nekisha has a piece up there now at dimblackmamas.tmblr.com.
And you can also write us for advice.
I really want y'all to do this. I want to do a Shirley Strawberry letter. I really want y'all to do this. Please send us something.
Can I read it in my
You can read
share
it.
in my
And then
and
I'll
I'll-
crack the code.
yeah, and I'll read it. We'll be back in 15 seconds. That's my Shirley Strawberry.
Oh,
voice.
Lord.
You can also write us for advice. Our host, Thea Monyee, is a licensed family and marriage therapist. And our other co-host, Nekisha Killings, is a internationally certified breastfeeding consultant. Our third co-host, Crystal,
We'll get you
is
on them
just trying
streets.
to get her
We'll get you, have you on them
You
streets.
know what?
So yeah, right. And we're on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play, as well as SoundCloud. So thank you for joining us. Please share the episode, like the episode, and if you are listening to us on iTunes, please leave a review for us. Please leave a review for us if you're listening to us on iTunes, and also comment if you're listening to us on SoundCloud, because we'll respond. We want this to be interactive. So, things to look forward to. We're going to start doing some Teach the Baby interviews, where we have gone into classrooms and talked to students who will be working with Black families as social workers and as psychologists, and giving them some of our thoughts on the Black family. So look forward to those interludes. So thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you. I just found out Talati's on Instagram. I just have
Are
to
we gonna do-
investigate.
Namaste.
Oh, did you approve that? Her being on Instagram?
Namaste.
Okay. Ooh, okay. Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste.
Hey, her pics is cute
All right,
though.
and we
Okay,
out. That's all we
namaste.
got.
I'm not focused. Namaste.
That's all we got. We ain't got no more.